3, 2, 1. All right. So alternative ways to making money. So in today's examples, it won't just be an hourly rate multiplied by the number of hours that the person works. Okay? Some people are self-employed. They work for themselves. They are the boss. Some people get paid by piecework. So they're paid at a set rate for an amount produced. So like if you build and sell rocking chairs, we'll say, you're going to make money by the more rocking chairs you make, the more money you'd make. The more rocking chairs you sell, the more money you'd make. Okay? Another option is commission. So that's if you're like a car salesman or a realtor, you get paid a percentage of your sales. And some people are contractors, okay? It's an agreement that outlines the terms and conditions. So someone might come and paint your house, all right, or paint some rooms inside your house, and they would factor in the cost of the paint that they're going to purchase, the hours of work that it should take them, the number of employees that are going to be there doing it, and so on. And they would come up with a set amount. They would present that information to you, and you can either say, no, thanks, I'm going to go with someone, or try and shop around and find someone else, or they'll say, that sounds like a great deal, and they'll pay you when the job is completed. Okay? All right. So a little reminder that when we're talking about these things, you might still have to consider markup and selling prices and things like this. So this is a review of something we talked about before our last test. Troy is selling cakes. It costs Troy $8 to make each cake. His markup price is 99%. So he's marking them up 99%. What is the selling price for each cake? So remember from last unit, what does a markup do? Does it increase the price or decrease the price? Increase the price. So what I actually have to do is I'm going to take 100% and I'm going to add 99%. What's that give me? 199%. What would that equal as a decimal? 1.99. Remember, percent means per 100. So you just divide that number by 100. And if I want to know what Troy's going to sell the cakes for, I'm going to take the $8 and I'm going to multiply them by this decimal, 1.99. Okay? And 8 times 1.99 is going to be awfully close to 16. $15.92. He's going to sell each cake for $15.92. And that's great. Okay? Troy's making cakes for $8 and he's selling them for $15.92. So he's going to make $7.92 off of each cake. Another way some people do this, they go 99% as a decimal, 0.99 times 8. So 8 times 0.99 gives me 792. That's the markup. And then what did they do with the 8 and the 792? Add them together. It still brings you to 1592. This way, I just added first. I added the percentages and then multiply. Fair? All right. Next question. Jennifer sells necklaces and bracelets made from glass beads. Her markup price on these items are 35%. If a customer pays $225 at Jennifer's boutique, how much did Jennifer make after expenses? Okay, in order to do this question, we need to know what the markup percentage is. And we want to know how much did Jennifer make after expenses. So if her markup price on these items are 35%, a customer pays $225. So that's the marked up price. So what you're actually trying to figure out is how much Jennifer makes after expenses. And what we do there is we divide the $225 by 1.35. Okay? And we end up with $166.67. And that's how much money Jennifer would make after her expenses. So let's not forget about the types of things that we were doing in our last unit, when we were talking about markup and selling price. Our next example, you're looking at Gwen. She works as a sales clerk in a clothing store, so she's working in retail. She earns $10 an hour plus a 15% commission on the price before taxes of each item she sells. So Gwen's getting paid an hourly rate, like most of us do, but she's also earning a commission on her sales. So she's earning more money. So she's kind of, think of it like the questions we were doing the other day where they were getting regular pay and their overtime pay, and then we added them together. Well, in this case, we got to do our regular pay. So it's her hourly rate, $10 an hour, times the number of hours she works. So if she gets paid $10 an hour and works 8 hours in one day, how much would she make? $80. But she also gets 15% of any of her sales for that day. So to answer part A, all I'm going to do is take the $10 per hour and I'm going to multiply it by 8 hours, and we can see that Gwen makes $80 on that day. Now, part B, if I scroll down, it's probably going to tell me that Gwen sold X amount of dollars worth of clothing. Maybe not. Maybe it's on the next slide. Is it? Cool. Is everyone okay with Gwen making $80 in regular earnings for the day? When we flip over, this is where we get into what she sold at the store that day. If Gwen sells a suit with a price of $625, a sweater priced at $95, 3 t-shirts at $45, so $45 each, and a raincoat at $225. How much did she make in commission? Well, first of all, let's add these up. Okay? The suit cost how much? $625. The sweater is $95. What would 3 shirts at $45 each be? What's 3 times 45? 135. Nice job. Okay? And the raincoat worth $225. What's her total? If you add those all up, you get $1,080. Now, she doesn't get to keep $1,080, but she does get to keep 15% of that. So I need to take the 1,080. And what do you think I multiply it by? I multiply it by 0.15. I'm not adding the 15%, so I don't have to add it to 100%, or I don't subtract it from 100%, because it doesn't increase that value, that 1080, or it doesn't decrease. It's not a markup or a discount. It's just a straight percentage of those sales. And when you think 15% of 1,080, think of the word of as multiplication. It's just 15% or 0.15, no percentage after that, sorry. And you multiply it by 1,080. Anyone know what that is? What's 1080 times 0.15? Got $162. So next question they're going to ask me is, how much money does Gwen make in total for that day? What would she get? What would I do with the 80 and the 162? Add them together. Okay. How much did she make on commission? So this is what she made on commission. What were Gwen's total earnings for that day? I'm just going to add 80 and 162. And what's that give me? $242. And it's dollars. And I would say Gwen has gross earnings or made $242 on that day, which is great. Okay. She's only making $10 an hour, but if she sells more items, if she has a big day of sales, then she's going to earn more money. So the commission kind of motivates Gwen to sell, right? She could just go in there and sit on her butt and do nothing, sell nothing, and she'd still come away with $80. But if she works hard and sells, she's going to make more money. So there's an example involving commission. Is everyone okay with that? Move on to the next example. Here we're talking about a contractor. John is a painting contractor. He negotiates a contract with a homeowner to paint the exterior siding on a house at a rate of $30 an hour plus the cost of the materials. If it takes John 6 8-hour days to prepare and paint the siding, and he uses 15 gallons of paint that costs $45 each, what is the value of the contract? So the first thing we need to do is figure out how many hours John works.
48.
It's 48. Where are you getting the 48 from? 6 8-hour days. 6 times 8 is 48 hours. So that's how much or how many hours John's going to work. What's the cost of labor? How do I figure that out? Like, how much am I going to owe John?
Times 48 by 30.
You multiply the 48 hours by his $30 an hour rate. So what's 30 times 48? It'd be 480, 480, and 480. That's 1440 or 1,440. And then I got to factor in the cost of materials. He's got 15 gallons of paint. $45 each. What do I do there? Is it just plus 45? I have to times the 45 by 15. What's 45 times 15? $675. So what would the value of the contract be? Like, what's John going to tell me? Okay, Brian, you owe. What would he do with these numbers? Does he add them all? Would it make sense to add all of these numbers? No, which one do I keep out? The hours, the 48. You can't add hours to dollars. We're adding dollars to dollars. And what is the total value of the contract? I'm going to go 1,440 plus $675. And what's that give me? Anyone know? 2,115. So that's what I'm going to owe John for painting my house. The good news is, though, like, as the buyer or as the homeowner, I don't have to paint it. And I don't have to worry about going out and buying paint myself. He's doing that for me. He could probably get a little deal on the paint, a better deal on, so if he goes into Home Hardware for paint, or if he goes over to Kent for paint, he's a contractor, he's a good customer, he can probably get a better deal on the paint than I could, as just a regular Joe walking in off the street. He might charge me a little more because he's going to pick it all up, but it's still probably a better deal than I could get just walking in. So Andrea, a car manufacturer in Ontario, accepts a contract to make a certain type of car for $24,000. If the cost of materials and labor to make the car is $15,000, how much is her profit? So it costs her $15,000 to make the car, and she's selling it for $24,000. What do I do to those two numbers to get the profit? I subtract them. I'm going to go 24,000 minus 15,000. And what's that equal? $9,000. Great. And then it says, what is this amount expressed as a percentage of the contract? So what is 9,000 expressed as a percentage of 24,000? What do I do there? I'm going to take 9,000 and I'm going to divide it by 24,000. And what would that give me? What's 9 divided by 24? You can forget the thousands. I get 0.375. Okay. 0.375 is the decimal. And then how do I change that decimal to a percentage? Multiply it by 100. So it's 37.5% or 38%. I'd probably just leave it at 37.5%. Is that all right? How many more questions do we have? That's the last one. Sweet. That means we're done. Okay? It means you guys can go to work on these questions from your worksheet.